The prize for the most loving heart, taken from An Evening in Guanima, a treasury of folk tales from the Bahamas, by Patricia Glinton-Meicholas. A king called Blue Shell ruled a tiny kingdom nestled in the heel of a boot-shaped island. Called Guanima, it was one of a family of islands stretched like a necklace of emeralds across the breast of a crystal-clear sea. The king would have been a very poor king, and his kingdom a very poor one, if money had been the only source of their wealth. Far from feeling any lack, this wise ruler considered himself richer than Midas, Croesus, and all the pharaohs together, because his subjects loved him as much as he loved them. Even rarer still, his people loved and respected each other. One fine year, Blue Shell resolved to give a prize to the child in his kingdom with the most loving heart. This boy or girl would win the right to wear a crown of blue seashells just like the king's. For a whole month, the winner would sit beside the king on his judgment bench of gamelame wood each day he held court. The announcement of the week-long contest created great excitement among the children. It would not be easy to win such a prize in a place where people showed their love for each other daily. Nearly every child set about at once thinking of what he or she would do to win. Most decided that they would spend the week of the contest doing those extra special favors for family members and neighbors who needed more help than usual during that time. Orchid would cook the dinner for her busy mother, and Ebony would fetch and carry for the old people of the town. Chike would clean the rooms of the little school they all attended. His sister Brooke and her friend Lindsay would care for all the babies in her neighborhood whose mothers wanted a rest. Paran, Che, and Malika, the biggest children among the contestants, came up with what they thought would be unbeatable plans. I'll clear a field and plant it with peas and corn for Mama Sal, the widow who lives by the pond, cried Paran, a great strapping boy from the White Land. I'm going to do even better than that, said Malika. I'll share my food with the poor boy from the point every day. The prize is mine, boasted Che, who came from the Red Hills. For the whole week, I'll carry the child with the broken leg from school on my horse, and I'll walk. Standing nearby, listening to these three, was a little boy called Nejmi. He was always to be seen trailing behind his older brother and sister, who were among the group of planners. I'll do all that you have said and more, squeaked Nejmi, whose name meant star. I'll weed for Mama Sal, share my food with the poor boy, and carry the child with the broken leg home, he said, sorry almost at once that he had made such wild promises. The older children turned in surprise to look at Nejmi. He could not truly say how he would do all these things, for he was only a very little boy. The older children ignored Nejmi's boast, thinking he had no chance at all of winning, though they were far too kind to say so. It was agreed that the contestants would all meet before the king at the end of the week to describe their loving deeds. As the week of the contest went on, the village children grew tired of the game. One by one, they abandoned the tasks they had set themselves. Paran, Malika, and Che were the only ones left in the competition, or so they thought, when the king called the children together to choose a winner. When all of his eager young subjects stood before him, the gentle, smiling sovereign asked the three very nervous contestants to give a report of their loving deeds. This they did gleefully, each thinking that he or she would win. "I cleared a new field for Mama Sal," said Piran, "and a hard job it was, too. Mama Sal kept wanting to talk to me and trying to help. I just smiled kindly at her, made her sit down, and kept on working." "I had the same trouble when I shared my food with the boy from the point," recounted Malika. "I don't know quite why, but he kept trying to give me some of his bits of bread. I refused, of course. He had so little. And the bread was grey and hard, not half as good as mine. The boy made it hard for me to be kind, but I did it anyway," she said. "I believe I had the most trouble of all, sire," cried the boy from Red Hills. "I carried the boy with the bad leg on my horse for a week, and he was so contrary the whole while. He always offered to hobble along on his crutches part of the way. I said no, because I know he tires easily. I always got him home early for his dinner," Che continued, "but he didn't ever want to go inside. He seemed to want my company for a while, but I had to hurry home for my own meal." As each child finished speaking, he or she smiled broadly, for they all felt that their deeds were worthy of the prize. Much to their surprise, Nejmi spoke up, timidly declaring himself a contestant. His small face had grown longer and longer as the others had boasted of their good works. Surely he had lost. He had done nothing. Ashamed for their brother, Brooke and Chike tried to take him home. Nejmi was determined to tell his story, however. He did not want anyone to believe he had given up without trying. "It was just the opposite with me," wept the child. "Everything I tried went all wrong. When the others were not around, I thought I'd try to help the people they helped. I wanted to weed for Mama Sal, but I saw how much she wanted to talk, so I stopped weeding. I couldn't weed much anyway." We sat down under the big silk cotton tree, and the old lady told me stories until dark. She showed me how she danced a quadrille when her legs were not so stiff. With this, Nejmi paused and showed his audience a few of the steps he had learned. "And guess what? Mama Sal told me all about her husband and how good a fisherman he was. Her stories were so good, I really didn't want her to stop. And she gave me lemonade, too. She did more for me than I did for her, but she seemed so happy. I didn't know she could laugh like that." Remembering the pleasure of the visit, Nejmi forgot his embarrassment for a while and stopped crying. "Ha ha!" laughed the boy from the White Land. "What else did you not do?" "After I failed with the weeding," continued a crestfallen Nejmi, "I tried for several days to give my food to the poor boy, but he wanted to share his bread with me. Well, I took it, and we ate together. I did nothing to help him, but while we ate, his eyes were shining." "Why did you bother to come before the king at all?" another child asked in utter amazement. "But I did try, and I wanted our king to know," cried the youngest contestant. "I tried once to help the boy with the broken leg, but he wanted to manage all by himself. He didn't want to be alone in case he should fall, so I walked along with him. It was dark when we reached his house because of the times we had to stop to let him rest. But, sire, if you could only see how proud he was. you would know why I am happy I let him walk on his own." "Walk on his own, indeed! As if you could have carried him!" mocked the boy's brother. To the surprise of all gathered there, the king gave the prize to the boy who had not accomplished a single task he had set out to do. "That can't be!" cried the other contestants in great astonishment. "Nejmi has admitted that he did nothing. Why, he's too little to do anything worthwhile." "Yet he has done all," said the king, smiling. "The most loving heart gives what is needed, and not what it needs to give."